All right. El Presidente of the United States. Either way, Democrats have shut down the United States government right in the midst of one of the most successful economies, including a record stock market that our country has ever seen. This has sadly affected so many programs, services, and other elements of society that Americans rely on, and it should not have happened. I'm happy to work with the Democrats on their failed healthcare policies or anything else. But first, they must allow our government to reopen. In fact, they should open our government tonight.
And they didn't.
And they did not.
No.
This is a dim shutdown, ladies and gentlemen. Also, can I say, being someone that lived here for about 6 months working with the Pentagon, coming in here last night, it's pretty clean.
Yeah.
It's pretty clean. That's one of the first things we noticed when we were driving through. We were like, oh, it's not raging heroin addicts trying to beat on your car window as you're driving along.
Very nice.
You know, I mean, still some work to do. Don't get me wrong. There always is in big cities. Pretty clean.
Cool.
Pretty clean. I saw a woman walking down the street alone, not afraid for her life last night as we were loading in. And I got to give it. It's amazing what happens when you've got military service members walking around.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, all the drug addicted hobos go to Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's an amazing thing that occurs.
With this government shutdown, I want you, Graham, to explain to people, because right now the left, and when I say, I mean all of them, you know, Sissy Girl Pants, Alex Cole, JoJo, all these Peckerwoods are saying that, well, it's a Republican-controlled Senate, it's a Republican-controlled House. Would you please explain to people how that's not accurate?
Yeah, so the continuing resolution or whatever, budget, whatever it may be, it can't be a simple majority vote. They have to get 60 votes to be able to get it. And we already know that McConnell, Murkowski, and Collins are iffy at best Republican votes. So they don't have it. They don't have the votes. There are certain things, Senate confirmations, you can have simple majority. You saw it with Pete Hegseth and J.D. Vance going in there and breaking the tie. But some things you can't have a simple majority. And those things are put in place. The founding fathers put those things in place for a reason. And as annoying as we find it, the Dems have the ability to shut it down right now. And they are using it for the purpose of health care for illegal aliens and gender affirming care, which is, in layman's terms, it's cutting your genitals off and not having to tell your parents about it. Yeah. All right. This was a very interesting thing. Talking about getting tough on crime. Trump, actually, they asked him about the Insurrection Act. And this is Donald Trump's response to it. I thought it was very good. And I want to know everyone's thoughts, but let's play it.
Over a weekend. What?
The Insurrection Act, under what conditions or terms would you?
Well, I'd do it if it was necessary. So far, it hasn't been necessary, but we have an Insurrection Act for a reason. If I had to enact it, I'd do that. If people were being killed and courts were holding us up, or governors or mayors were holding us up, sure, I'd do that. I mean, I want to make sure that people aren't killed. We have to make sure that our cities are safe.
We have to make sure that our cities are safe. First of all, that was Caitlin Collins. Caitlin Collins is the worst of the worst, but probably the most famous right now on CNN. I have been next to her demonic presence multiple times in rooms.
I bet you had to shower after.
She puts off a vibe as though I don't even know how to describe it. You ever seen The Devil Wears Prada? You ever seen that movie? Probably not, because you're a man. But in there, what was her name? Who's the person? Allison, do you know who plays Anne Hathaway? What's the old lady? The very famous Meryl Streep.
Bette Midler.
Meryl Streep. And I only know this from The Office, but Meryl Streep plays like this horrific human being or whatever. That's Caitlin Collins in 30 years. Okay. Not to date her or anything, but that's her in 30 years. Caitlin Collins just is a very nasty woman. She's nasty. She is nasty. The way that she treated her like staff and like demanded things, very nasty woman. Either way, he was saying that to Caitlin Collins. Back to the point. I I'm all for doing the Insurrection Act. Absolutely. I think the Insurrection Act should have been called by Biden during the BLM riots. But of course, we all know that that was never going to happen. I'm for it. I'm pro it. I think that if we get to the point, to Donald Trump's credit, if we're losing lives, people are losing their lives because of these thugs, these animals, these criminals, and these governors and these mayors won't do anything about it.
Well, I think you're going to run into a massive problem here in the near future, because you're already seeing it in Chicago, where like citizens are like using their vehicles to ram ICE vehicles, and the cops are doing nothing. Like the local law enforcement they're doing nothing. So I mean, Graham, at what point, like, what do you do? Like, if you go to L.A., if you go to Memphis, if you go to Atlanta, if you go to Baltimore, Chicago, all these other places, the local PD's not doing anything because they can't, because, you know, the dim leadership's like, nope, sit back, let them do it. I mean, what's the move?
I think the second that someone dies, I think you do it.